Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter. And in this episode, I'm going to help you figure out how to deal when you've misplaced or your Fire remote or it has quit working. And that starts now. It seems like the more we live with technology, that we may die with technology, because it can sometimes rear its ugly head. And I've done enough videos now on the Fire TV that I thought it was time we have some discussions over what to do when you can't find the remote or it's quit working for a variety of reasons. There's several things you can do. If you will first go on from the standpoint, if you haven't misplaced it. If it's simply quit working, there's a couple of things to try. Now, it should warn you if your batteries are getting low, but sometimes if the batteries drop voltage quickly enough, it's just going to flat quit working. There's no way around it. So if you don't have a spare set of, in this case, the AAA batteries, you might be able to buy a little more time by using an old trick of changing the position. Now, at this point, they both point the same way in terms of positive. So if you take the one that was on this side and put it in here, if it's a battery that's just simply gotten too low and you put them back, but you just flip their positions, that will help a little bit. Now, if it still doesn't work, then either the batteries are just very gone or possibly the remote has failed. Now, what I do, sometimes I don't go through a lot of AAAs or 9-volt batteries for that matter, and that's a whole nother conversation. I do try to keep some spares on hand, and here's a little trick if you are going with just the alkaline AAAs. Put them in the freezer. I know that sounds strange, but I have been able to keep batteries in a freezer for years. And when I say years, 5-6 years has not been a problem. Now, supposedly when you get into that range, even with being frozen, the batteries will still, you may not find they've got a charge. But I would challenge that respectfully, because if you get them as soon as you can after they've been manufactured and you put them into cold storage, they should last for quite a while. Now, the trick with those is when you do pull them out of the freezer, while you might get a little bit of usage out of the battery in the short term, you will need to let them warm up to room temperature. And that could take 15, 30 minutes. It just depends on the temperature you're in and how cold the batteries have really gotten. If that seems to help and you still can't get the remote to talk to the Fire TV, then you may need to go through a repairing process, and not repair as in fix it, but a repairing as in with the remote to the Fire. There are instructions in the show notes that go over some of that, so that's not as likely. It's still potentially possible, but not as likely. Now, going on to dealing with a misplaced remote. Now, yes, you can buy these, but do me a favor, look at the price that Amazon wants. And I'm not criticizing them because they got to make money at this. I just checked it just minutes before I started doing this video, and the price of the remote with the special that Amazon's got going on right now, you can get a new Fire Stick for $5 more and the remote. Well, at that point, do you need another Fire Stick? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're going to spend most of the cost of getting the remote just to get a remote, then what's another $5? Then you got a spare Fire Stick. Okay, that's option one. Now, another option, and by the way, there are some third-party remotes out there. This is one of those areas I would be careful with. Yes, they're a little bit cheaper, but it's one of those yeah buts. You don't know how well they're going to last. And you might get one that's just absolutely fantastic, and it'd be great, and you never have to worry about it again. But the other one, you may get the remote that dies 2 days after you get it. Now, there is another option, and in the Fire, and not in the Fire Store, but in the Google Play Store and as well as the Apple Store, you will see a Fire TV remote, and this is released by Amazon. that is an option irregardless. As soon as you get your Fire TV, whether it's a stick or the dongle or the cube, whatever it is, I would immediately put the Fire remote on all your smartphones. Here's why. If this doesn't work, you're not dead in the water. You've got this at a minimum to fall back on. So that's, and it's a cheap enough option. It's free. Now, granted, I'm probably one of those ones that when I get home the day, the last thing I'm going to do is be fooling with the cell phone. But, sometimes you don't have a choice with all the different apps that can be put on these. And again, that's a free option. That's very worthwhile considering. Now, you have seen me talk in a couple of videos about the Fire Stick and VPNs. And I talk about this little gem. This is a Bluetooth keyboard, and it is well worth the price of getting it for a variety of reasons. Now, it's about $5 more than getting one of these, but look at what you're getting for the $5 in difference. This, to me, is a whole lot more justified than buying another one of these. Now, the trade-off is this has the Amazon voice interface built into it. This is a keyboard. So, but you're getting more than just the keyboard here. You're getting a trackpad surface to work with. You're getting a full keyboard. Now, granted, you're going to be fairly tight on the space, but it's an option. Now, especially if you're going to be doing web surfing with your Fire TV, you really need to go ahead and get this. I know I've said that in the other video, but once you've gotten this and get used to it, it makes a serious case for the Fire Stick being what the rest of us would have put either like one of the Intel Nooks or the Intel Compute Sticks. If you need just simple basic web access, this is going to be a very cheap option. Very, not cheap in terms of quality, but very economical. This does not have a replaceable battery. This door back here is for an accessory dongle if you're using it in an application where it doesn't need it, but this pairs directly with my Fire Stick, so I've not had that problem. So that's, we've got three options here. We've got getting a new remote. Okay, it's $20, and you may prefer the remote because it may be more important to have the Amazon voice piece. I've got a link in the show notes for doing that. It's at today's price, it was $20. Okay, $20 is not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. The smartphone app, to me, that's a no-brainer, and I would do that as soon as you get your Fire Stick or Fire Cube or dongle or whatever you got. You have this on the phone, because then if this doesn't work, you've got this to troubleshoot with, and you can make sure that if this is working, then it definitely says the problem is probably here, and it gives you a way to control the Fire Stick so that you can, if you have to go through a repairing process, you've got at least a way to get in to help do that from the Fire TV side. Again, I don't know how much you'll need it, but guys, it's free. Really, that's not a problem. And if you're going to be doing or consider doing any sort of web browsing, some of the games may play easier with this than this. So this is another reason to have the Bluetooth keyboard. And I've been very pleased with this. And the battery usage seems to be about what I would have expected. Now, granted, I'm not sitting there trying to type the autobiography of Harry Truman on here, but it's held up very well. Now, you do charge this. It comes with a USB cable. Doesn't come with a USB or wall wart transformer. So you've got two options. You can either charge it off your laptop, or if you're like me, I usually carry a couple of spare chargers anyway. So I've always got a way to charge this one. And if you're going to be traveling and take this with you, make sure you take the USB cable with you. It does fortunately use a very common connector. So you probably have a phone that may already have it, or you've got another device that's got a similar cable. So this is going to be well worth it here as well. It's worth an option. I mean, it depends on where your needs are. It's certainly if you're having to enter a lot of credentials, this is another area where it comes in handy. If you're getting into like HBO Now, DirecTV, the different services that are out there that require you to authenticate, depending on how long your username or email address is and your password complexity, this could make a whole lot more sense and making that process a lot easier, because it doesn't, you do it 2 or 3 times, especially if you make a mistake and then you're going up, down, left, right, and all over the keyboard, and after a while you can just about lose your religion. So that also makes the case for using a wireless or Bluetooth keyboard like this. I need to make that distinction. So I've been very pleased with it, and in a travel that I've got coming up, I'm going to see if I can get this packed in there at all, because that's going to be well worth the process. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for your time and watching it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so by clicking or smashing, or some people use different terms, on the subscribe button. I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed and has stayed with me. If you click on the little bell notification, that makes sure that you are supposed to get notifications. There's sometimes when it doesn't happen, but at least you're supposed to get notifications when new videos are released. This is also being recorded at the same time for my podcast at techbiteswithronnutter.com. I'm available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, working on another option, and hopefully here in the next few weeks I'll be able to announce that one. So for those of you that have Rokus, that's going to be coming right down your alley. Which also right now, since I'm available on TuneIn and you get the TuneIn app on the Roku, that is another way you can listen to the audio podcast. So I'm trying to make it as easily reachable as I can for you. I've got yet more videos planned. There are several things in different stages of being worked on. I've been working with the Cavo remote control. Well, it's the 4K HD that it's called, but it's an HDMI switcher, but that to call it an HDMI switcher doesn't begin to do it justice, because there's a lot of functionality and versatility there. And I had a couple little oopses with it, but I really don't fault the Cavo. It's sometimes the different streaming receivers may hiccup somewhere in the process, and that, that's life. That's just simply going to happen. So that's some of the things that we've got going on. I'll be showing you how to deal with the Fire Stick as you're traveling in some hotels, getting past the walled garden or firewall garden that they have, so that you can get it directly on hotel wireless. And we'll run some experiments there and see how well that does. Anyway, thank you for your time. Appreciate you watching or listening to the podcast. Please reach out to me with questions that you have. And if this podcast or video has helped you, please click on the like button. That also helps me as well. If you do buy either the wireless Bluetooth keyboard, or if you buy another Amazon remote through the affiliate links, I do get a small commission on that. It's not going to change the price you pay, but it does help to go take care of the costs I have with the different equipment I've been purchasing and upgrades I've been doing within the studio. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll see you again soon.